guys, Larissa with BeCozi.com is here. BeCozi.com and BeCozi.net is an American website with the biggest collection of chunky yarn for hand and arm knitting. We're located in Holland, Michigan, and if you're local or if you're visiting our beautiful town, please feel free to stop at our office and look at our yarns and the biggest collection of chunky yarns in the United States. So today I will be showing how to make a bucket hat with our chunky chenille yarn in oatmeal color. So I made one in our loopy stitch yarn. It looks different and I kind of like it better. I like it more in the loopy stitch. So it looks pretty big and bulky. And this is loopy stitch, oatmeal color. But today we will be making a big and chunky chenille hat. And this one will be in oatmeal color. So this is how it will look on the hat. It's big, chunky, but it's pretty warm and soft and beautiful because I like everything chunky. So just a little bit less than 1 skein. And here for loopy stitch you will need 8 ounces. And if you got our yarn, let's get started. Okay guys, so we will be making this beautiful bucket hat. This one I made with our loopy stitch yarn, and I think it's a better option for making bucket hat loopy stitch. But I was asked to show how to do it with chunky chenille yarn, so we will be using this beautiful oatmeal color of BeCozi chunky chenille to make a hat like that. So let's get started. Let's find the end of the yarn. Place the yarn in front of you like that. Now you need to make a knot on the end to prevent yarn from unraveling. And now we cut the tail close to the knot. What do we do now? We're keeping the tail about 10 inches. It will be for connecting the hat on the top. Now make a loop like that, insert your hand, grab working yarn and pull it out. We just made our first stitch. Let's pull working yarn down and make it smaller. We should make it about 1 inch wide. So what do we do now, guys? We're inserting hand or fingers inside the stitch. We're grabbing working yarn and pulling it out. So we now have 2 stitches. Now press the bottom of the stitch, then insert your hand, grab working yarn and pull another stitch. And we will be doing this way until we have 13 or 14 stitches. It depends how big your head is and how tight you are gonna knit. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3. So I will make 14 and I will try to knit tighter. I think it will look better. So what do we do now? We made 14 stitches. Now turn it on another side and then connect it into a circle. Working yarn goes on the back, and here we have our tail. The tail goes inside of this previous stitch, not this stitch, this previous one, okay? Yeah, like that. So we doing like that. So we just connected our chain into a circle. This working yarn will go inside. It will be our marker where row starts. So now we will be using these bumps, see, in the middle of the stitch, not top part, not bottom part, the middle part. Insert your fingers, grab working yarn and pull it out. Insert your finger underneath this middle part of the chain, grab working yarn, pull it out. Here we are. So we will be knitting all our 14 stitches, guys. And make sure you are knitting 14, count all the stitches, because if you skip knitting one of the stitches, then the pattern will not look as good on the top of the hat. Okay, so here we are. we almost reached our marker, our tail. Let's count stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. So here our number 13, and here is number 14. Okay, and for this stitch, it kind of looking like it purled. That's why I'm usually pulling it out. And then there is stitch, there is yarn. Yarn goes inside the stitch to make it look perfect. See, now all our stitches look knitted. You can keep it the way it is if it's too hard for you, or if it's too confusing. So now we will be just simply knitting our hat, or the top of the hat, the same way, simple knitting stitches, and the tail will show us where we started. Okay, so here we are. Here's our tail. So this is our last stitch. So we knitted 2 rows. What do we do now? Well, after 2 rows, we are connecting this knitting hat in 2, like that. We are making it look like that, and now we will be knitting the same way. The only difference that we're knitting not in the circle, we are knitting now in 2 parts. So here's one part, and when you're done with this part, you're flipping it on another side and knitting again. So in the hat that I made with loopy stitch yarn, I made, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows before I increased. But chenille yarn is much fluffier and thicker than loopy stitch. So what we will do, we will knit for 5 rows, and then we will increase. So when I made 5 rows, I will come back and show you what to do next. Okay guys, so I actually made 6 rows because it will not be enough 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here you see I've stopped where the new row will start in, so only 6 rows. What do we do now? We will now connect the top of the hat. Okay, so this tail will go inside every stitch on the top, but the outside part of the stitch, not inside, outside. So from inside out, you're going inside every stitch in a circle, and this way you will connect this hat, and then pull gently, and we will pull and connect the top completely when we go through all stitches. So make sure to go through all stitches. Now here it's kind of tricky where to go when it's the beginning of the row. So you are skipping this guy because you cannot go inside. You're going underneath the stitch to connect it, and then we're going inside 2 stitches that we previously inserted yarn already. So here we are, one and the other one. It's kind of tricky because yarn is fluffy, but just do as best as you can, because this way you will have this beautiful flower looking top. So now tail goes inside in the middle, that opening, and here we are, we have this beautiful top of the hat. Now we will go inside, pull, and we'll go underneath any stitch. Now you have a loop, and insert the tail inside the loop and pull. Now you connect it, and now you can hide this tail underneath every stitch, and here we are. So what are we doing now, guys? Now when we have the top of the hat ready, here we are, we will need some kind of marker, and what I have here handy, I have this beautiful brush, spider brush, so that will be my marker. So I will put it on the last stitch here, and then we will increase, and increasing will be, so this is the next stitch. We're going underneath this stitch over here. There is a back side of the stitch, so we're going inside and we're making extra stitch. So this stitch is still here, we are knitting it. So see, we just increase and we made extra stitch from one. So next stitch, simply knit, and then we will move the yarn. Next we will increase again, back side of the stitch, extra stitch, and then knit the stitch was here, knit simple stitch, increase the next one by taking the back of the stitch and knitting it, knit next stitch and increase the next one. So we are knitting one stitch and then adding one extra stitch to another, and we are going this way all the way around the hat. Okay, so it's two, one stitch, and here one extra, one stitch, and we are moving. This is one extra stitch here, and then we will move our marker. You can use anything you want. You can use a piece of yarn to show where your last stitch is. So what do we do now, guys? We are simply knitting this hat around with no increasing for a few rows. Okay, so we increased it, and now we are simply knitting it, simply knitting around. We will, depending how long you want your hat sides to be, you can knit, like here we had, let's see, I increased and I had 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So we can try to make 4 rows on this hat. If you want a shorter bucket hat, you can cast off after just a few rows. So it's up to you. Okay, so our customer who asked me to show how to do it, she asked to show a hat that will have a curling, or the sides that will go up. So that is what I'm aiming for in this hat too. Okay, so here we are. Let's keep knitting, and our spider will show us how many rows we needed. So let's see, this is our row number 2 after I increased, and then I will knit 2 more. Here we are. So this is our spider, 1, 2. So I'm going into row number 3, and then I will make number 4, 3 and 4, and then I will come back and show you how to finish this hat. Okay, guys, so I am done with 4 rows after my marker, 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we will be casting off. Okay, so for casting off, I am making, so this is our last stitch. I'm making extra stitch, and then I'm inserting my hand inside the stitch, and then I'm adding this stitch from the line of stitches, and then I'm knitting these 2 together. Okay, so I just knitted 2 together, and now we will be knitting the next one. Try to make the stitch a little bit bigger, because this way the hat will not be too tight on the top. So this is pretty small. See, this one is like kind of twice as big. So that is our goal. Okay, so pull the yarn out a little bit and make it kind of loose on your finger, because otherwise the hat will be really, really tight on the sides. Okay, so now keep knitting or casting off until you're done with all stitches, and then I will show you how to, it's our marker, and actually it can stay there. It can be a Halloween hat with the spider. Okay, so here we are. We are finishing our
We can take off the spider. Here we are. So, as I said, this hat, I believe, looks much better made with loopy stitch yarn. So we have still have a lot of loopy stitch yarn in stock. So here we are. We have last stitch, and now we are keeping our hands inside this last stitch. Then we're going inside this previous stitch. And then you grab working yarn and you pull it out. So this is all our yarn left. Here we are. What are we doing now? We're cutting the yarn. We have some left. We're making a knot to prevent yarn from unraveling. Cut the tail close to the knot. And now, see what we have here? This is our last stitch coming out of the working yarn coming out of the last stitch. Now you're going underneath this previous stitch. See these two parts of the stitch? So you're going underneath both of them, like that. And then you're going underneath the previous stitch here. Here we are. So we just created kind of like extra stitch here, so the connection is nice and beautiful. The yarn goes underneath any stitch inside the hat, and this is our beautiful hat. It's ready. So it will, here we are, see, it will look similar to the loopy stitch hat, like that. So here's the loopy stitch, and here is our chunky chenille. So just one skein. I have a little bit left, a little bit less than one skein, and about 8 ounces for loopy stitch to make this hat. And you can make it with any color. It will be nice, fluffy, and warm. You can find these yarns at BeCozi.com. Stay warm and be cozy.
Hey guys, Larissa Koidekir with BeCozi.com is here. 2 years ago in September, I published my book that called Hand Knitting. I created hand knitting style at the end of 2015, and last year, actually 2 years ago, I wrote a book. It was printed. This book tells you what hand knitting is, the story of my company BeCozi, and also we have a few amazing patterns, and every single step how to hand knit is shown in this book. This book is sold at BeCozi.com and on Amazon. And Amazon you can also buy a Kindle version. So go get this book for yourself or for your loved ones. Thank you.